seems to hear words of the cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come, raising the sound, oh, in the dale, telling the tale. In the rain, while people sing songs of the cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. All love is sent, all without end, their joyful tone to every home. How the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, ringing a tune to young and old, big and the bold. Ding dong, ding dong, that is the song. Big trouble ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of the cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come, raising the sound, oh, in the dale, telling a tale. In the rain, while people sing songs of the cheer. Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. All love is sent, all without end, their joyful tone to every home. All love is sent, all without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the 37th of this little video series we have going. And as you can see, the recommended movie of the week is Christmas based because of, well, it's past November by the time you are going to see this video, and when it's going to be published on the channel, it will be December, and hence we are in Christmas/holiday mode. Hence, all the videos or the recommended movies you will be seeing are either going to be Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa related in some shape or form. Without further ado, as I said before, the introduction to division, well, part one, but the introduction to long division video was complex and there was a lot to grasp, and the video before this, the understanding remainders as well, is very hard to grasp, which is why I am making a part two for the long division, because next video will feature long division with remainders. So we have to master this part in order to move forward. So I wanted to make another video for us to really grasp this concept. So if you didn't see from the worksheets and the games, there is no worksheets for this week, and that is because if you haven't finished up the worksheets from the previous long introduction to long division video, you can do that. Or if you really want, you can plug in you can use a calculator and the calculator that I provided and just pick random numbers. And the way I would do that is I would pick two numbers. I would do 20, let's say, times 4. I would get 80. So I would say I'm going to do 80 and 4. So I'm going to do 80 divided by 4. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my long division, and I'm supposed to get 20 as my answer, as my check. And that's how I would kind of pick my numbers, by using multiplication to then get division. So if you wanted extra practice, that's how you would be able to do that. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So it's basically just we're dividing. So we are working with only single digits. So only single digits on the outside. And let's do 4, 9, 2. Okay, so we always have to think about the lower but closer. Remember that. That is key. We have to know the closest and lower than the number we're looking at. So we're using single digits. We look at it one at a time. 4, 4. What multiple of 4 would get us closest to 4 and be lower than it. Or equal to. Exactly, 4. And 4 times 1 makes 4. Subtract, we get a 0. We bring down the next number that we have, which is 9. And now we do the same thing. What number is a multiple of 4, meaning that 4 can multiply to it? So what number that 4 can multiply to is close to 9? 8. Exactly. And 2 times 4 would get you 8. Subtract that, bring down a 1, bring down a 2. And that's perfect because 4 times 3 is 12, and it will always work out in the end because we have not dealt with the remainders yet. Now when I say lower to closest, let's say 6 divided by 35. Now you will have a remainder in this problem, but I just want to get this concept straight and make it clear. So let's say you're doing all your work, like you're doing this, and maybe down here you have a 35. Where you're like 36 is very close to 35. And 6 times 6 is 36. But it's either 36 or 30. Because 6 times 5 is 30, and 6 times 6 is 36. 36 is closer. But remember, we have to think about lower. This is the lowest number. This is a lower number that is the closest. Out of all the numbers that are lower than 35, this is the closest. So 5, 30, and don't worry about that. Don't worry about what we would do. I just want to explain the concept that we can't use 36 even though it is closer. I just wanted to express that because I've been hearing things, and as a kid myself and student trying to learn this, I always try to wonder, why don't we use 36 instead of 30? This is closer. Well, it's also because 36 is greater than 35. Out of all the lower numbers than 35, we have to find the closest, which is 30. Because 34 is lower than 35, 33, 32, and 31, but these are not multiples of 6, which is why we have to settle for the 30. And we can't do 36 because it's higher. So let's do 3 more. Why not? Magic number 3. 3 more examples. Let's get all of this out of here. We'll do 3 more. Oh, this dot's really gonna bug me. Good. So let's do 3 more examples. That was not that nice. Boom. So I'm just thinking. Let's put a 6. Nope. Don't like that. Put a 6 here. And a let me think for a second. Okay. All right. Now, out of all the lower numbers, out of all the numbers that are lower than 5, can 6 multiply to make any of them? So numbers that are lower than 5 are 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Can 6, any number times 6, make these numbers? Any whole number times 6. It means no fractions, no decimals. I don't know if you guys know that, but if some of you that do know fractions and decimals, whole numbers we are dealing with. No negatives, if you guys know that, and no fractions. No negatives. And no fractions. So if any of you guys know what that means, well, we don't use them. And if you do not know what that means, you don't need to know what that means. Do not worry about it. You will learn that in the 5th grade You'll learn fraction in 5th grade or 6th grade, I think, and you'll learn negatives after that. So you do not need to know about that. So we deal with whole numbers. Boom. Okay. So since none of them can multiply to 5, we'd put a 0, just like last video, 0. Subtract, we get a 5. We have to bring down the next number, and we get an 8. Now, out of all the numbers lower than 58, what is the closest one, the closest lower number that 6 can multiply to? Exactly, 54. And what number times 6 would get you 54? 9. And we get a 4, then an 8. And of course, it has to end up perfectly because there's no remainders. So what number times 6 to make 48? 8. Boom. And this should always be your answer at the end. 98 is your answer. Now, so remember, we always subtract and we always bring down the next number that's to the right. And only one. We don't bring down both 8s at the same time, we only bring down one. We go one number at a time. Now, if you haven't watched the original Introduction to Long Division Part 1, I'm making this comment now because I'm just thinking of it. You should probably watch that. Watch that before watching this one because I do go over those concepts of subtraction and this and that. Because I'm not going to brush over those that I already did. I'm just going into the math and the mental part of thinking of the lower and closest aspect of it. That's what this video is really for. So let's go to another example. Why not? Just thinking. By 3. Okay. So we would do 2, 5, 6, 5. Awesome. I'm just looking at all the examples I can give you, and this one I want to give. So let's do it. So rule of thumb is when you're always starting out. Sorry, I'm just brushing some stuff. Okay. As you guys can see, especially with this example and that example over here, if this number, this first number, when you're first starting out is lower, you're going to have a 0. If it's not, you're going to have a 1. You can tell that from the last video too. So that's a little rule that you're going to get. That's like the little rule that you're going to have to go with. Or you could just always think lower, closest, nothing works, so I'm going to do a 0. Boom, bring down the 5, going one number at a time. What's the lowest, closest number? Well, I'm just thinking. 3 times, let's say 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 10 is 30. Now these are over, so these are bad. So this is the closest and lowest number because it's right next to 25 and it's lower. Usually I would be like, let's say 24, 23, 22. Do these work? But we're already there, so close. Get a 1, bring down to 16. Now I'm thinking again, 3, 15 can make 18, it can make 12. 21, these are over. So the lowest, best is 15, and we have a 15 as well. And we end with a 0. Oh my god. I just made a big mistake. I just realized. Can any of you guys catch it? Yes! I didn't do anything here. Nothing was done. Nothing was written. And this is what I'm trying to stress. Because as you're going through these problems, guys, you might not, because you're so focused on the closest, lowest number, trying to find that you're not even working up here. And when you finally do get 0, you're like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know my answer. So you always have to remember, always write your numbers as you go. And thankfully, I remember that I had an 8 for the 24, a 5 for the 15, and then another 5 for the 15. But always, 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 as you go, have your numbers, because you may not know, because you may have lines and lines and lines and numbers and working, and it goes all the way across the page, more than this, all the way down, more work. And then you get to the top and you're like, oh my god, I didn't even write any numbers. So always write your numbers. Do one last example. I like this one. Okay, this is a gigantic number, but let's get to it. Okay. Remember, closest, lowest number. You guys are getting tricked. Some of you are like, okay, this number 6 is greater than 2, so I'm going to put a 1 here. But 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. We can make 6 with a 3. So you always have to be careful. Just always have your eyes out. 4, 2, because we can perfectly make 4, get a 0. So this is looking really nice. A 4. See, I'm always zeros over here, but I'm always writing as I'm going by so I don't forget, because this is going to be pretty long. Then I get a 7. Now I'm really going to have to think. What's the closest number? Out of all the numbers that are lower than 7, what is the closest one that 2 can multiply to? Exactly, 6. Because it can also multiply to 8, but that's over. So 6. Nope, my bad. 2 times 6 does not make 6. 2 times 3. Oh, I also made a mistake. Silly me. Exactly, guys. This is why you have to be so neat in your work, because some of you caught me. And we had to do this. And now we do the 7 and the 6. And we get 1. So let me bring that back up. We get a 3. Let's bring this 8 all the way down. And 2 does make 18, so we have 0 at the end. And 2 times 9 makes 18. Now with this 2 over here, we had 2 over here. 2 times 1 makes 2. I didn't really go over that because it's really not that difficult of a task. The main part was the 7 and figuring out the 6. But this was a pretty easy and nice one for us. But remember, this one, because it's so big and large, you really have to be neat with your lines. So I'm really stressing these little things, these writing your numbers, these drawing your lines perfectly, making everything. You could even space it out if you really want, like really like draw the numbers like really spaced out. So when you draw the lines, you wouldn't get confused and like skip a number. So because this is long division, it's long. So these things will be hard, and you do have to be very organized and very careful and always think. But as promised, I did want to give you this part 2 video. Make sure you watch the original one. Well, this video is already over, but hopefully you watched the introduction to long division, the original one. But because I knew it was just so complicated and I felt like I was rushing myself, that I didn't feel like I did the bestest job. So I wanted to create another one to kind of solidify and help you master this topic and give you more time to master the understanding of remainders. But remember, take your time. You'll get it. The work's on you. But all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little video here. Stay safe, stay cool, and stay learning. Bye bye.